The question is not, can we play with the Chiefs? We know we can. The question is, why in the hell can't we beat this team? Maybe the same reason nobody else can beat them. All right, Dolphin fans, how are we doing? So now that the season is officially over and the Kansas City Chiefs have been crowned the burgeoning dynasty, and Mahomes is the GOAT or close to the GOAT, and all of the things. We know all of the things. I don't want to throw up inside my mouth repeating them here. But now that has happened, question is for us Dolphin fans, don't worry about Buffalo. Worry about the Ravens. Can we ever beat the Chiefs? Because as of right now, after suffering, I guess, 2 decades of hell at the expense or at the hands of the dynasty that was the New England Patriots. Now, at least the dynasty is not in our own division. So we know we can beat the Bills. We beat the Bills once last year. I'm not saying we can beat them consistently, but we did beat them. As for the Ravens, we beat the Ravens last year. So whether or not on any given Sunday we do beat the Bills or the Ravens, we have recent experience knowing that we can. Now, the Chiefs are a different story. Now, we played them twice this season, and I figured that would give us a good gauge. What stands out? What's the reason? Because I think for both of us, or for both games, much like the 49ers yesterday, I think as a fan of the Dolphins, you watched most of those games against the Chiefs this year, and you kind of felt like we can play with this team. We can beat this team, or at least that's how it feels. It's not like in years past where you're just getting, your asses handed to you every play and every which way. So I wanted to just take a cursory look at some of the stats when you combine both games and see if I could find a tell, see if I can find something that really stood out. And I did. Now, in the 2 games, all right, the regular season game, we lose 21-14, and then we lose in the playoffs 26-7. The Dolphins defense allowed a grand total of 10 second-half points in the 2 games. All right, so neither one of these games was Patrick Mahomes doing what he did against the 49ers, which is taking the team that was behind, bringing them from behind all the way. You know the drill. He did not Joe Montana us in either one of those games, all right? 10 total second-half points. You should win. I mean, you should at least have 1 victory out of those 2 games. The defense, especially considering all the injuries in the playoff game, you should have won. You should be able to win a game there. So it wasn't the defense, all right? So what's next? Was it the running game? Well, it wasn't the running game when we ran the ball. Mostert was 12 for 85 in the regular season, 8 for 33 in the playoffs. So he was 20 for $118, just under 6 yards a carry combined. Of course, that's 20 carries for the 2 games. Okay? That's not enough. That's not good enough. Now, what else? Pacheco, we held Pacheco just on to under 4 yards a carry. So we're running the ball at 6 yards a clip. We're not even allowing 4 yards a clip. And we are somehow finding ways to lose games. All right. Next up, especially after his performance the other day, was it Chris Jones? Nope. Chris Jones was a non-factor. In the 2 games combined, he had 2 assisted tackles and 1 half sack. In 2 games combined, basically zippity-doo-dah. So it was not Chris Jones wreaking havoc, okay? Was it the Chiefs secondary? Did McDuffie eat us alive? Nope. 1 interception in the 2 games. What about the quarterbacks? Tua combined, 41 of 73, 56%. 392 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Mahomes, 43 of 71 for 60%, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, 447 yards. So Mahomes was 50 yards better. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Tua's 2-1. And wouldn't you know it, you add up all the totals from the 2 games, and both guys basically had the same amount of attempts, okay, give or take. All right, they had basically the same amount of their same ratio, so to speak. Tua 41-73, Mahomes was 43-71. So Mahomes had 2 more completions on 2 fewer attempts. So they're almost mirror images of each other in terms of those stats. None of that screams that's the reason why we lost these games. Those are very, very minor differences given that it's spread out over 2 games. What about Mahomes running the ball? It wasn't that either. Specifically, Mahomes in the regular season was 6 for 24. In the playoffs, he was 2 for 41. So 8 carries, 65 yards, just about 8 per. Tua, the regular season, 2 for 7, but then 3 for 25 in the playoffs, 5 for 32, just over 6 yards a carry. So Mahomes is just under 8. Tua is just over 6. Again, little differences. You can see where the Chiefs a little bit better here, a little bit better there. But again, none of that you don't look at any of that and scream, there's no way we can beat these guys. There's no stat that has jumped off the stat sheet yet that you say, aha, that's why we can't beat them. And then I found the third downs. The Finns in the 2 games were 4 for 24 for 16%. The Chiefs over the 2 games were 9 for 25, 36%. More than double, making of the third downs. And this is where you get into making the plays. Now, I am not expecting Tua to be Patrick Mahomes, okay? It's not going to happen. But, man, when it's 3rd and 6 and you have the option, I know it was 4th and 1, but look at the play that they ran with Mahomes, okay, in the Super Bowl. 4th and 1, he runs the ball, he gets about 5 yards, and then they followed it up with another designed run. And I understand Tua's injury history, et cetera, but having that in the playbook, having that as a possibility, you see what happened on those 2 plays. Completely, nobody accounted for the thought that Mahomes was just going to take off running. Those are the little things. All those little things add up to where the third down is the biggest problem. So taking Mahomes out of the equation and putting it back into the onus of what can the Dolphins do to improve on third downs? Well, number one, you're going to have to find a balance between not wanting Tua to take any hits versus not being afraid to have a designed run on a 3rd and 4. Okay? That's number one. Even if you only do it once every 2 or 3 games, you need to be able to have that a little bit in your back pocket, a little bit in the back of the mind of one of those safeties or one of those linebackers on those plays. Secondly, the bubble screens. The MNFN bleepity bubble screens. Okay? Not just one too many, but about a half dozen too many. Probably 2 too many bubble screens per game. Now, what's good about that part of it is that's very, very fixable if McDaniel is willing to watch everything that has happened, okay, and say, we maybe we need to do something different. Maybe on 3rd and 3, the best idea is not to throw the ball 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage and hope and pray that Tyreek can break 3 tackles and get us 4 yards. There's got to be a better way, especially when you've got running backs that are averaging 6 yards a carry. And I mean, Achan was averaging like 9 yards a carry until he got hurt. I obviously, we know he's not going to have a career of averaging 9 yards per carry, but he is overusing
the weapon of Tyreek and far underutilizing the rest of the weapons that we do have. What good does it have? What good does it do you? You got Tyreek, you got Waddle, okay? You got Achane, you got Mostert, Cedric Wilson's out there catching the ball. I know that Barrios is probably gone, but it's not like we used him as much as we could. Craycraft, he's not exactly Wes Welker, but I mean, he can catch the damn ball. He can get open, all right? And the fact that we won't even discuss the possibility of allowing Tua to run the ball, all of those things combined to where we're over predictable on third down. Not being able to extend drives, make the plays, that's literally the difference. Now, I'm not saying that that's the only thing that we would need to do to beat the Chiefs. However, I mean, we played right with them, okay? They got out to the lead in the regular season. It was 21-0 at halftime. We get to 2 touchdowns third quarter, and then what happens? Whole fourth quarter, can't make it happen. All right? Playoff game. The defense is out there dishing field goal after field goal after field goal, and Kansas City is just begging us, please, make a play. Make it a game where they gave us opportunity, much like the 49ers were given yesterday. It was very, very similar. I know the score was different, but those first 3 quarters were kind of similar, where the Chiefs offense just kept saying, no, you take the ball back. No, go ahead. You can have the ball back again. You can have it back again. And Niners couldn't do anything with it, and neither could the Dolphins. So, and that's the last thing. Let's look at that for a half a second. Niners offense is good, but it's very similar. All right? It's very similar to the Dolphins, okay? I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but matchups are matchups. And to me, number one, the Dolphins' best chance of getting to the Super Bowl is if somebody else beats the Chiefs. Because I think we can beat the Bills. I think we can beat the Ravens, right? I think we match up well against some of these other teams. But the main thing is the third downs. That's the one thing that just jumps right at you on that stat sheet. And it's all the little things, all right? It's the bubble screens. And sometimes it's not running the ball, all right? How many times do we see him, 3rd and 2, and you run the bubble screen or you throw the ball, it's unsuccessful, and now you're going for it on 4th down. Well, if you already decided you're going to go for it on 4th down, just run the ball. A little bit of extra time of possession never hurt anybody, especially as your defense is out there wearing down and getting injured, or in the beginning of the year when they're out there in 150-degree weather. So that, to me, is the biggest reason why, not just us, but I mean, it's the same reason why that 49ers game, I mean, that was very, very similar to kind of a combination of the 2 games that we played against them. The second game, the playoff game, kind of got away from us in the second half a little bit because we just didn't have any players left on defense. But our defense can play with the Chiefs. Our defense can do what it needs to do to slow them down enough. The offense has to do its part, just like the Niners. Exactly like the Niners. Okay? The last sequence there that the Niners had in overtime. All right? Jones gets free. Purdy throws it away. You've got the 4th down. That whole decision, you just can't give Mahomes that many chances. So the hope for the Dolphins, honestly, is there's 2 hopes. Either A, you hope somebody else beats the Chiefs, right? Or B, I don't want to say fire Mike McDaniel. He needs a partial lobotomy. We just need the part of him that calls the plays on 3rd down. Can we just get a guy whose only job is to call the plays on 3rd down? Because we have the talent. Look at the talent. Look at the talent on the roster. Look at the guys that we had out there. You're telling me that we can't make it work on 3rd down 30% of the time? It's not like the Chiefs were brutally tearing it up, right? 36. They were 36%, and they were more than double what we were. So that's the issue. That's what we need to fix. And now over the course of this offseason, we'll take deeper dives into things. But I just wanted to, that's what we're aiming for, right? All those years that we were fighting off Brady, it was Brady and Belichick, right? If you stopped Brady, Belichick would design a defensive system that would bust your ass. But the Dolphins were not really in the Super Bowl-ish conversation for the most part, most of those years that Brady was kicking it. You know what I mean? And I think like the last decade, we all just kind of sat around just like, just when Brady's done, right? When Brady's done, we'll try to be good when Brady's done. Well, Brady had been gone, and now the division belongs to the Bills, but the conference and the damn league belongs to the Chiefs. So either somebody else is going to have to do the dirty work for us, or we're going to have to figure out what the Niners and nobody else has been able to figure out, and that's how to make plays on third down so you can keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands when the game is on the line.